Sickness occurs because of the food. You can't spell great without eat.
What are you on?
I'm just quoting Grandma.
What is Grandma on?
Well, she's on Raising Tendo.
And that'll do it.
Welcome to Triggering Chaos Semi-Perfect once more. I'm
So,
M, that's Soul.
yep. And before we get started on today's episode, we have a few announcements to make. Number one, we did take a bit of a longer break for technical issues again. Thank you, computer.
Hooray.
Thank you, Discord.
Yeah.
Um, we also took it because we did a 2 episodes in 1 week back on Friday the 13th, so we kind of took a little bit of extra time break from that.
Mhm.
The next episode might either be delayed a bit or might be pushed back depending on how things go, getting co-stars for it or
Yes,
guest
but we'll be
stars.
having 2 additional voices for the next episode. You'll find out what the next episode
Mhm.
is at the end of this one. Unless,
Uh,
of course, we have to do a filler one, but we'll let you know it's the filler one, so you haven't got crazy. Regardless, we have
yeah,
to wait
time
for.
zones and people working for shifts are a pain in the ass.
Yeah, like I said, we got 2 guests. Both of them are technically returning guests from
Yeah, we have.
the current iteration of the show and the past iteration of the show.
Oh my god, the past meets the future.
No, the past meets the present.
Well, technically, the past meets the past because both of them are in the past.
So you have a little bit of blood coming out of your nose again.
Is this the Chrono Trigger episode again?
Not yet.
But so we'll let you know next episode what happens with that. I am hoping so far it looks like it might be together, but one of the other guest stars we want, Ice, he did move, so I haven't heard back from him just yet.
Maybe moving's a good reason to be delayed.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass with that, but good for him for
Mhm.
moving to a better place though.
Yeah, congrats.
But let's move on then, shall we? To um, semi
Today's
perfect now.
Today's topic, we've once more returned to the land of the rising sun, the spandex-wearing heroes and rubber-suited monsters.
Kamen Rider Kabuto.
Hmm.
If anything that ever defines semi perfect, it would be this guy right here,
Pretty much, yeah.
which is what I love and hate about him.
Pretty much, yeah.
But this was okay. I
Mm,
know this was. You said this was after Fies.
yes, this is the 7th Heisei Rider, the 20th Rider over General, and also coincided with the 35th anniversary of Kamen Rider.
Hmm.
Mhm. So this is basically a return to form. After Fies, they had Blade, which was overall well regarded and is still a lot of people's top 10 writer,
Yeah, I
top
did like
5.
Blaze. That was kind of. I got to get more into
Then
that one, but
then they had Kamen Rider Hibiki, which has its fans, but Hibiki had a very interesting history to it. It was never intended to be a Kamen Rider show. It was one of the late Ishinomori's final projects he was writing on.
yeah, because I
They
remember
just
didn't they pick that up as a kind of contribute to him or tribute
it's
to him?
it is a tribute to him, and they were worried it wouldn't get enough sales or enough eyeballs on it, so they branded it Kamen Rider. Even though, despite the fact it is an Ishinomori show, it didn't carry all the same Kamen Rider tropes, so a lot of, while not bad, it tended to lose a lot of attention, from what I understand.
Yeah,
So,
I know because it didn't start out as a Kamen Rider show. It did feel really different at the start.
mm,
Like it
they
had a lot of the same tropes that work for a Kamen Rider show. Don't get me
yeah,
wrong.
Ishinomori is very fond of evil does not be something coming from evil does not make it evil. You'll see that in almost every Kamen Rider series where the MacGuffin that turns the person into a Kamen Rider has some pretty dubious origins. But people then, with great justice in their heart, turn this force of evil into an extreme force of good. That
Hmm.
is his favorite trope, I want to say. Well, not his favorite trope, but definitely the one he. When I think of Ishinomori's writing, I think of that.
Yeah, that is kind of that is kind of what I really liked about some of the Kamen Riders.
It's
But
generally one of my favorite things about Kamen Rider
yeah,
is that your birth does not determine your outcome.
yeah, but like a lot of things, they can't use it for every iteration, or people would get really sick of it.
I mean, in Kamen Rider Wizard, they actually managed to make everyone before Wizard fit into that category for a plot point. So we'll get to that when we get to Wizard. But anyway, Kamen Rider Kabuto was not only going to celebrate the 30th anniversary, but they wanted to really shift back to a more classic design of suit because a lot of people did not like Hibiki's suit. I
Well,
think it's
again,
okay.
I think part of that is because it's like, oh,
He didn't.
we have a set theme, we're taking in this tribute, and it just was not intended to be something to fit in with the mold. Not saying it's a
Yeah,
bad thing, but
no, no. I think it was a smart idea to try and shake up the formula. At least they waited until the sixth Heisei era to really shake things up design wise.
fair enough. And like, one of the things I do like about this series is that it's simple costume design. It's not
Hmm.
like
If you
double
really,
or
if you look at all the common writers in this series from the belt down, they have the exact same suit.
yeah. But I'm just talking
So,
like
so you
Kabuto
do,
has like what only like technically three forms.
yes, which,
Well, maybe four if you count one mode. But my point being, it's like it's
yeah,
not suit overload.
yes.
I mean
There's
that's
enough gimmicks for toys. There's enough writers for toys, and like I said, because they all have the same base body with a different chest piece and helmet, they really could make a lot of suits pretty easily and made the toys pretty easy to make too, which is, I'm sure Toei was very happy with that because some of
yeah.
the Hibiki designs were a bit more intense.
Not only that, it makes it feel like this is all coming from the same source. It doesn't feel like
Yeah, it doesn't feel like
where did
just
you come
anyone.
from?
Yeah, they look like they came off a design factory, which makes sense when we get to the origins of Kabuto. But Kabuto is also one of my personal favorite Kamen Riders. It was one of the ones I hunted down on my own before I really got into it. Like Double and O's are my first two, and I watched Double because it was there, and the person who gave me Double suggested O's to me, and I liked both.
I
And then
started with double
yeah,
because M got me into it, as we said in
mhm.
previous episodes. But
And then
from there, I splintered from Kabuto and Fies, and I
yeah,
fell into Fies because number one, I
you
just
could,
really liked Fies' suit.
and you couldn't stop watching that train wreck.
God no, I don't even know why I have this bad habit of continuously watching some shows when I should stop.
I did when I don't like something, I drop it. I don't have the ability to hate watch something or to watch a train wreck. When we do a wasted potential, it usually happens to me for wasted potential because I either gave up really fast and Soul's dragging me along with him, or I managed to watch something and then right at the end it just careened into a wall.
Wait until I drag you down the new TMNT show.
Oh, don't worry. I'll go into a fugue state and completely forget you exist.
And I stopped watching that after 2 episodes. Me,
Jesus.
yeah.
Hendo, save us.
I don't think even he can save me for this.
I think he could. I just don't think he wants to. He might have
Yeah.
to. He might have to do some effort.
To be fair, I don't think Tendo could even get through it. But let's move on before I go into a tirade about something that's not even related at this point.
Right.
So, like any good Kamen Rider show, we need a villain.
So we're gonna start off first with the villains for a change. These are the worms.
I didn't remember worms having limbs.
Uh, no, I mean I like the design of the baseline worms. They have four arms, but two of them are covering their faces. Kind of weird. It's very space horror, which the worms are parasitic aliens from.
It looks like they're trying to do yes, I'm very interested in this conversation posed while leaning on a table.
I got more of the see no evil with the way they're covering their eyes.
Might just be the way the pictures, but it looks like they're putting their hands right underneath their chins and trying to lean forward.
Oh, they have very long hands, very long fingers, so they're doing both.
Yes, I want to listen to this conversation, but I don't want to look at you.
Yeah, regardless, the worms came from a meteorite, and
Wait, wait,
they
wait, wait,
have
wait, wait. Did the meteorite kill the dinosaurs?
no, no, no.
Oh, thank God.
We established that was Lord Beerus.
Well, I just want to make sure because that meteor's been used for a lot of things.
No, this was a pretty recent meteorite. Uh, in this meteorite, the worms came from. Um, they're. So, do you know about the scrolls?
Uh, yes.
Well, take Marvel scrolls and make them competent. but also still not going to take over the world. The worms have the ability to perfectly mimic a human. And when I mean perfectly mimic, I mean perfectly mimic appearance, memories, personality,
Yeah, basically they just become you and then remove you from the equation.
because they don't need you anymore. Now, worms have a philosophy of once I turn into you, you live on through me because I know everything about you. Ergo, you're just useless.
Yeah, if the worms were smarter, this would be an issue.
Yeah, they're not an organized force. They are literally trying to survive.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be so bad if A, they were more peaceful, or B, they weren't so stupid.
Yeah, they are very not feasible. And they also have the ability to get stronger as well. Left alone long enough, they will pupate and mutate into stronger worms. Like, at any point, a worm that's turned into a human can revert back to their worm form. They don't seem to be able to take multiple human forms or multiple human memories. So, usually, a worm turns into you, they're you for the rest of their life.
Yeah, and we also don't know exactly how many there are.
No, and we don't really know their hierarchy. There are some boss worms, but they seem to only ever commanding like 5 or 6 at a time.
Yeah, this
There
organization
are
is worse than the Orphanox. Jesus Christ.
there are a few scenes where the worms are mindlessly huge, endless drone, but it might actually be a once they get old enough, they get an intelligence.
I'm just saying
Don't know.
the organization is worse than the Orphanox, and that was a mess.
But the thing is, it works for the worms. It leaves them as a very mysterious, otherworldly creatures, which they are.
Fair enough.
They don't have a company they're running. They don't have a plan to replace all humans with worms. I mean, we'll get to that, but
Yeah, that kind of what really bites him in the ass for me. Is like there is.
the worms are more of a really well done plot idea than characters.
Well,
There are a few worms that are characters later
well,
on,
you say
but
characters, but the plot. My only concern. Well, I shouldn't say concern. My only problem with them is that plot wise, we're talking about they're here. They're replacing humans. That's it. It's like I know that's an issue. Don't get me wrong,
I
because
mean it is someone's existential dread.
yeah, and I'm not saying that's not part of a plot, but beyond that, it's like there is nothing.
Yeah,
Like
we don't know where the worms came from. Is this normal for the worm planet, or is did they go through something so traumatic they're all mindless, just trying to survive?
and once they get a brain cell by copying someone, don't is there any remorse? Is there a
No,
plan? Is there
there is definitely no remorse when they kill someone they've turned into. They seem to have remorse when they kill someone who they don't turn into, depending on the worm's personality.
which kind of leaves a lot of questions in my opinion, but I
Like I said, when they turn into you, they believe your existence has just ended in your body and you now live in them. You and them are the same person now. So they're just killing your old, weaker body.
wow, I just had a really dark thought for this show.
I mean, that's pretty much normal for Kamen Rider shows.
Yeah, but this one just kind of went dark even from my thought process.
Do you want to share with the class?
What if they took? What if they replaced someone who was already suicidal,
They get the suicidal tendencies.
but then they also technically killed themselves?
Yes.
You see where this is a dark thought?
I mean, when a worm copies someone, what I mean by perfectly as well, if someone is pregnant, they copy the pregnancy as well.
That raises a lot of questions.
It's a plot point.
I forgot about that. I mean, I haven't even seen that episode. I admit I know the overall plot, but I may not either. I
Mm,
didn't see all the episodes
that's fair.
because, like I said, I stepped off to watch Fies, and
I have watched Kabuto 2 or 3 times myself. Every time I try to watch Five, I go back to Kabuto.
yeah, every time I want to go back to a show now, I go back to either Zio, one of my favorites,
Mm,
or Double, and
I mean,
watch and yell at somebody to go kick a doll.
Double's just a comfort show for me now. I've gone back to it, I don't remember how many times. Anyway, let's get on to the evolutions of some worms. This is one of the commander worms.
Mm.
I just want to point out that you wouldn't know that was a woman without the red lipstick.
I don't even know that was a woman with the red lipstick. It's a Japanese show. That can be kabuki style for all I know.
Fair enough. But at least, like I'm just saying, I'm just glad the female worms are not like overly sexualized. If the worms have gender, she took a human female form, so we subscribed female to her. I don't know. Maybe I'm being wrong here.
Maybe they like it. I can't tell you.
Like, I don't know how the worms reproduce. I don't want to know how they reproduce. It's probably like that scene from Dragon Ball Z Bridge with those Arlian aliens.
Oh God.
And I don't need Nappa sending me a photo of it.
He sent me video. Consider yourself lucky.
Wow. Nappa must either love or hate you.
Mm.
Anyway.
But yeah. See, I like it when the worms start kind of individually evolving.
Yes.
Like I like mass troops looking the same, but if all your villains do too, you're gonna have an issue.
Yeah, there is something about troop builder figures, but every now and then you want your commanders to feel unique, but still fit in. It's a very hard balance to make. I think that one of the greatest examples of that is putting Darth Vader next to the Stormtroopers. They clearly belong next to each other.
Yeah, but at the same time, Darth Vader does look more imposing.
Indeed, that's what you want. And I do think this looks more imposing than the standard worm, but it's not my favorite worm design. I believe the next image is. Yes, this is the most powerful invading worm.
And at least
I
it's the
don't
one that
remember.
uses
I don't
Soul
remember.
Shield.
I do not remember their names. And this guy comes back like 3 or 4 times, evolving each time with new weapons.
Of course it does.
Yeah, he's just hard to put down.
So he came back 3 times?
Yes, I believe so. 3 times. For some reason, the worms don't set off my insectophobia, but I don't want to linger on the because of that. My brain is weird.
Fair enough.
But
So
we should actually get to the main character.
okay, so I both love and hate this man.
Shoji Tendo, the man who walks the path of heaven.
So
The man who is just good at everything.
yeah, that's kind of what I love and hate about him. On
Like
one hand, it's great, and he just kind of has not a overconfidence, like he's not arrogant, but
if Tendo says he can do something, he can back it up. It's never
mm-hmm.
along the lines of, "Oh, he's arrogant."
M. You broke off for a second there.
Oh, sorry. He's arrogant, but not in the way he needs to be knocked down a peg, but arrogant in the sense of everyone needs to get up to his level.
Yeah, the thing is, most of the time that what I've seen, he's not overestimating himself. He just makes statements.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to walking to a police station, out of armor, mind you, not even powered up, and just knocking aside police officers to bring a girl out of prison.
Yep.
Well, I shouldn't say prison. I guess it should be a police station.
The jailhouse, in a sense.
Yeah.
Well,
all while still walking and not slowing down either.
He never even jogs. It's just a casual walk, judo flip, dodge to the side, make 2 guys run into each other, dodge to the side, kick a guy.
And then he has his pointing up at the heavens and making a speech and then henching. He's got the flair dramatic for it. So
yeah, his name literally means path of heaven. So he says he's walking the path of heaven. He's walking himself.
Yeah.
He has a very interesting relationship with everyone around him, especially his grandmother. We never see his grandmother, but throughout the show, whenever something feels appropriate, he will bring up a quote for his grandmother. Let's just grab it at random. Flowers can make any girl aglow.
I don't know what she was all, but she needs to share with the rest of the world.
Another one I really love is work is as sticky as natto. Natto being a Japanese bean paste, he managed to make that fit really well. Now, occasionally when he does these quotes, everyone around him goes, "Wah?"
I mean,
but if the dude is in his own world, and I want to see this world.
I mean, to be fair, he's not in his own world out of place.
No.
He's in his own world and dictating the rest of it.
Yeah. Like,
I'm going to say this. If anybody's in the more recent Kamen Riders, he really makes me think of a more... He kind of reminds me of Geats in a way.
Yeah. Eats' main character, Ace is his name, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Ace and Kabuto are definitely from the same kind of mold, but they're both one of a kind. That
Yeah.
makes any goddamn sense.
And the reason being is that this Kamen Rider didn't start off as um coming from a more meek or caring or
Mm.
naive position.
He is fully fledged, knowing what he wants and who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Many Kamen Riders have to discover what it means to be a hero, discover what they're fighting for, discover what's important in life. Tendo knows.
Yeah.
He knows what's important to him. He knows what the people who matter to him. Like he does grow through the show. He does end up making new friends and new relationships, but he pretty much doesn't have much growth to go for. And most people say, "Oh, that makes a bad protagonist."
See, I
But
wouldn't say it's a growth. I would say it's more um opening his perception of the world, which is sounds
I
a
s-
lot like growth.
I classify that as growth. But yeah, you're
But
fair to say it's a bit different.
you can see it both ways. I find. I'm just saying, like,
Hmm.
it, I, it's kind of a different perception of growth, I should say,
Yeah, we'll
because
go,
we'll get into that a little bit farther down the road with, especially with other characters. But the thing is with Tendo, his view it has been that he literally is walking that path of heaven.
yeah,
And the thing is, like anything that he comes across anybody else does, he can either, yeah, well, actually, he pretty much does it better.
yeah.
And that
There
is
are,
his
there are
greatest strength and his greatest weakness all rolled up into one, in my
yeah, there
opinion.
are a few times that someone does something better than him, and it kind of shakes him a bit, but then he gets back on his horse and tries to improve himself. So he's not inflappable and he does not improve his skills. It's just he's starting off on a nine, everyone else is around him as a four.
Yeah, and he knows this. He
Mm,
when he says he can do something better, it never feels like he's, unless the person's an absolute ass. He
yeah,
never feels like he's putting anybody down.
he never goes up to like some street vendor who doesn't matter and go, I can make better ramen than you. No, if he does that to someone, they have to be arrogant about their ramen or challenge him.
Yeah, like
Many
if they're saying if a shop is saying they sell the best ramen in town, he's not going to go up and challenge them and be an ass about it.
No, but he is going to go there and try it and then determine if it's accurate or not.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be. He will sometimes tear down a place because it's arrogant, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to be really obnoxious
Like he
about it.
understands the difference between salesmanship for a place and
Yeah,
someone being an arrogant ass. So there is that, and that's one of the things I do like about him is that he knows how not to be that guy.
yeah. He also knows how to be that guy when he needs to around certain people.
Yeah, some people do need to be taken down a peg, but they
Yeah,
don't need to be tore down to the ground.
but he also knows how to completely ignore people who are trying to boast over him just to annoy them more. We'll get to
Mm-hmm.
that character in a little bit, who I friggin' love his complete one-sided rivalry with this other Kamen Rider, and he barely knows he's in the room. But he does love the hell out of that guy's butler.
Oh yeah. So
Just remember though, immature fruit is sour, producing immature fights.
all right, let's move on a step.
Yeah. To his first armor, this is the masked form of Kamen Rider Kabuto. Many of the riders in this show have a masked form. It is a bulky, heavily defensive suit.
And that's what it's intended to be, a defensive suit.
Yeah. It, after a while, these pretty much get dropped from the show, but at one point, Kabuto brings it back in an ingenious way to win a fight.
See,
So we may have forgotten it, but Tendo didn't.
I'm not sure Tenno's
Overall,
capable of forgetting anything. Whether that's a good thing
yeah.
or a bad thing is up for grabs.
What's that picture here is the weapon that comes with this form is one of my favorite in Kamen Rider. It is a handgun that's also a hatchet.
Yeah,
I just like practical uses like that. If you grab it by the gun barrel, it's a hatchet. If you hold it by the axle, it's a gun.
I think that's the only thing I don't like about it is you have to grab by the barrel for it to be hatchet.
It's super space science. Who cares?
Look, I'm just saying that's the only thing I don't like about it. Other than that, it's a good idea.
I mean, you'll hate it even more because if you remove the barrel from um, the gun, it's now a kunai.
I have so many questions about that.
It shoots lasers, so it's not actually ammunition.
I have so many
I'm
questions about that.
Anyway, I generally don't care much for the master forms.
I at least like they at least kept it somewhat maneuverable, but you can still tell it's a bit bulkier.
Hmm.
So it's not like they're trying to over armor or I should say restrict this thing.
What I love about the forms, though, is the voice they gave the Zectors, the tension devices.
We'll talk about those in a moment.
Yeah, but by putting on the robotic beetle onto his belt, he gets this form. By twisting the horn to the opposite side of the beetle, it performs cast off, change, beetle. And this is Tendo in his traditional point towards the path of heaven pose.
Mm-hmm. Now it's
As you
not
can
like a huge thing because you saw the chest plate underneath, mostly the shoulder pads and the arm bands are mostly removed from the suit.
I only have one problem with this armor.
What's that?
That big red horn holds up his helmet. Where the bleep was it in the previous form?
Oh, it's right at the chin. It's in this chest plate because you see it
He
fold
can,
up.
but it's not. It's attached to his actual helmet chin, not to his chest piece. He shouldn't be able to move his head if it's tucked into his armor, but he can.
It's Tendo. I'll believe it.
Like I said, I'm looking for a complaint here because the Kabuto Rider form, it's called, is one of the best simplistic suits.
Yeah, it's one of the
Also,
reasons I like it.
that crisp cherry red.
Yeah, you know what it makes me think of? Two things: a hot
Hmm.
rod or Iron Man with that color red.
Yeah, I can see that. I can really see. Yeah, I like. Yeah. I love also the deep blue eyes it has. Like, it's a good contrast.
Yeah, they definitely picked the right colors for this, especially with the theme Kabuto, because a lot
Yeah,
of Kabuto beetles are usually used with red color. I find.
yeah. I think it's one of the oldest Japanese tropes for anime and tokusatsu, and they just decided to just lean right into it for Nintendo.
Yeah. Now I don't have an image of it, but Tendo also does one other thing different from a lot of other riders. He no jump kick.
No, he has a few times where he does the standard rider jump, rider kick, but he prefers counter kicks. What's
Yeah,
a
that's.
counter
I
kick?
will say this. That is the one thing that I. Well, I shouldn't say the one thing, but the my favorite thing about this Kamen Rider is like the counter kick is just so much fun to watch.
Now, what I mean by counter kick is he usually charges up for his final attack by hitting the sector one, two, three, and then does his rider kick. But while he's charging the energy, he waits for the monster to run towards him or prepare their attack. At the last second, he will twist his body and up kick, either deflecting the attack or hitting the monster when they least expect it, blowing them up instantaneously before dramatically stomping his foot down. Like, he doesn't. Most monsters in Counter tend to get hit by the kick, flail about, oh no, I have been and explode. For Kabuto, he just kicks you and you're dead.
Yeah,
There's a few dramatic oh no, but they're usually saved for bigger
it's
moments.
pretty much a good showing that he just doesn't
What
need
he's
to
serious,
show off.
yeah,
He's just literally just going to end
yeah,
this and go home.
it makes him feel like most fights is him testing himself, and once he realizes, okay, this opponent's not going to get me anything else, just end the fight.
Yeah.
Now later on, when opponents do start making him fight, it gets more interesting, and you see he actually does know techniques, but he's very fond of more making you look like an idiot in fights.
Which I love and hate about this.
I love it.
On
I
one
think
hand,
it's
I love it about the show. On the other hand, it's not something I would follow with.
mm. To be fair, you get a lot of more interesting fights from the other common writers in the show. But
Yeah, fair.
Kabuto also is one of the first commoners I want to say that really decided, you know what? Being epic is not enough. I'm going to go full on God mode. So he upgrades into Hyper Kabuto with his Hyper Cast Off. The horn is changed. The armor seems a bit bulkier. He has a different boot, and his eyes have gone from a deep blue to a turquoise blue, which I just kind of like. And he's got more silver throughout his armor. It's a very interesting design.
Hmm.
It has taken the simplicity of the standard rider form and has decided, let's throw that out, but
Now,
keep the silhouette.
if he goes and activates the hyper form, I don't like it as much.
I do not mind it because it's missing one of the things from this image. His back usually has energy wings, which really brings it together. Without the energy wings, the fin wings that popped out are just kind of meh to me.
I it might be because the energy wings might show it off better, but I think the wing things just look silly.
Hmm. Go back to standard rider form for a second, though. For we forgot to mention the most important reason why they have a rider form.
Oh yeah.
Clock up. By
So
hitting the to the standard rider form, not the hyper form.
I just closed that.
Oh,
Give
sorry
me
about
one
that.
second.
Anyway, sure. Clock up allow see the worms when they've evolved into their next stage can go extremely fast. And I mean like blink and you miss them, they've run across the damn street.
Yeah, okay. So real quick before we go into that, there's a lot of misconception on speeds with Kamen Rider.
Hmm.
Let me explain for a moment. So they're supposed to be going light speed,
Yeah, but
and the thing
uh,
that really raises a lot of questions about that is we discussed it with Fies. Is that
mhm,
Fies is supposed to be going, I think, either sonic or subsonic speeds when he uses his clock up mode.
yeah, his Excel form, yeah,
XL form. Yes, thank you. I brain farted
yeah.
that.
Clock up is generally the term is much more synonymous with counter. Most commoners that have a super speed end up being called clock up because of how much Kabuto featured it and how good Kabuto used it.
Yeah. So the thing
So
is that only going sub or actual sonic speeds, Foz has been shown for at least the 10 seconds on his timer to keep pace with standard Kabuto.
yeah,
This has raised many questions about speeds, and it's like, yeah, this is
oh,
just a Kamen Rider show. Just enjoy it, bitch.
yeah. Also, the term "going light speed" gets thrown around a lot in Japanese media. I mean, they were going light speed in early Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like that. That's why it's kind of
I
like
mean,
the
yeah,
speeds are all up in the air.
I think what's going on is light speed has a kind of different meaning in Japanese dialect, like casual dialogue. So, regardless, Kabuto and all the riders in a rider form have clock up, which lets them just fight the worms at supersonic speeds or super speeds or whatever you want to say. Do not think too much about how fast these riders are going, and
Basically,
do
it's
not
just as basically I just put at the limit of beyond human perception is where I
and do
put it.
not do not start bringing up. Oh, if they're going that fast, the sonic boom should kill everyone around them.
We're also talking about
Don't.
people in suits fighting aliens, so let's not bring that logic here.
I mean, someone once used that argument to explain why Mario is faster than Sonic because he doesn't cause sonic booms constantly.
But
Regardless, hyper clock up, which is unlocked through hyperform, is beyond light speed. With it, I like the joke Kabuto can casually walk through time. And I do mean walk through time. With the hyperform, he is able to correct mistakes, such as, oh, my friend died? I'm going to go back 10 seconds, block the attack that killed him, and then kill the guy who was about to kill him. And
yeah,
there are no repercussions. Kabuto himself ends up creating a paradox that deletes himself, but it was not a paradox because it was always supposed to. And you're gonna get a headache just thinking about it. Kabuto. This is why Kabuto is said to be one of the most powerful Kamen Riders in the franchise. His hyper clock up is just so versatile. We don't know its upper limits. Like I said, he created a different timeline. The different timeline being the TV show.
look, I'm only gonna count to like 3 other Kamen Riders could probably beat Kabuto at this point,
Yeah, one of them literally is a god.
and that would be
Guy.
Gaim, um, Zio,
Yup.
and Decade.
Yeah. And Decade only wins because he can be any of those
Maybe
guys.
Geets at the end of that one, but that's for other reasons.
Yeah, possibly. But either way, Geets and Ace and and Tendo outside their suits, I do want to see fight.
but
Regardless, Kabuto is one of my favorite examples of really stupidly overpowered. Now he does not use it constantly. We don't know why. But it is in his character to not show up with the tactical nuke and win. He's never gonna leave. He rarely wants to go all out in a fight. But not in the Goku, I want to be tested. It's more lines of I don't want to just show everyone up. That seems kind of rude. I'm walking the path of heaven, not the path of jerk. Although there are many times where you will watch the show and go, just whip out hyperform.
Yeah, I will give Geet at least that one. When he has the higher power form, unless there's a reason, he's just gonna pull out the higher form and just kick your ass.
Mm.
So, but let's move on from Tendo.
And go on to our good friend Kagami.
Nope,
Oh
we're
wait,
not at Kagami
no.
yet.
Oh, okay. I guess we'll handle the Zectors. Yeah, these are the Zectors. They are usually CGI when they're traveling around, and they might be from the future. The Hyper Zector is from the future, but also an altered timeline.
Yeah, this is the part where I was getting confused with these guys.
Yeah. So the Hyper Zector is the one on the bottom right. It literally gets blown up in Tendo's time, and he's like, "You don't understand what the Hyper Zector is," and he just summons it from the space-time continuum to his hand. That's how he unlocks it the very first time. All the other Zectors, when they arrive, come through like a crack in space or a wormhole. The
God damn it.
Hyperzector just appears in a green aura in Kabuto's hand. He just holds his hand out, catches it as it
And the
materializes, and then
thing is, with that, it's really not really explained, but Tendo just knew that thing was coming.
yeah. Um, it's implied he knows because of alternate timeline shenanigans, but eh.
That just raises
The
further questions.
Now, the three Zectors that don't show up in the wormholes are the Scorpion and the two Grasshoppers. The Scorpion just bursts out of the ground no matter where it is, and the Grasshoppers just hop towards their user. The rest of them just fly out of the wormhole.
To be fair, the grasshoppers are the worst looking here.
They really are. But the thing with the Grasshoppers is the toy is if you flip them 180, they're the other color. You can see this because one's facing left and one's facing right.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm just saying, it's like this is.
Which just makes me always wonder: can Kick and Punch Hopper just exchange Zectors at any time they want?
That'd be an interesting thing for twins to do.
Yeah. Regardless, we have they're only missing one Zector, which is the perfect Zector, which is just a giant Buster Sword for Hyper Kabuto to use.
I will say this one. I think out of all of them, my favorite is the Dark Kabuto and the Dragonfly.
I am a sucker for the noises the grasshopper makes. Bong 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 bong.
Fair enough.
I just also find that the Zectors themselves have a fun noise. All of them have a fun noise to show up. But interesting enough, the first time I saw anything Kabuto was the non-canon Hyper special, where they decided to give the Zectors personalities and drew googly eyes on them.
Is that the one? What was the name of that one?
That's where Hyper Battle. That's where we get Hyper form for another counter character.
Okay.
But I thought the Zectors were going to be completely sentient the entire time. They are not. But they also pick their user. The B one goes through several people because it does not like its user and just leaves them. And what I mean leave is I mean it just unhooks itself and flies off, leaving the guy untransformed, and then never returns to him.
Yeah.
The B is a jerk.
Maybe the bee likes them. It just likes leaving the people it likes in the dust.
No, it clearly stopped liking you.
Eh.
Anyway,
Moving on.
yes. For our good friend Kagame. Oh wait, no. We'll never get to him. This is Tendo's little sister, Yuna.
So
She is technically his Juka. Juka is his adopted sister. She and him were raised by Tendo's grandma after Tendo's parents were killed in the meteorite that the worms came from.
yeah.
Whoops. Tendo is quite protective of her. He is now her guardian. They are now living in a fairly nice Japanese house. I mean, it's a good size.
Does
Whatever the
Tendo
hell.
even have a job, or do people just give him money just for being Tendo at this point?
Okay, picture yourself. You're a landlord. Tendo wants your house.
Fair point, but I'm just saying, like,
You're the tax man. You knock on Tendo's door. He opens the door.
okay, you're making the point for Nintendo. Just stop.
Yeah. She is a junior high student, and she's just pretty affable. She is fairly competent in a lot of things she does too in school, apparently. Like, she is not Nintendo's level of overpowered, but her classmates consider her overpowered.
That's because I haven't Nintendo yet.
Yes. She occasionally will also quote grandma. Like, I don't have a list of ones she quoted, but
Well, she's
there
not
are,
Nintendo. That's not important.
but she will, if she's in the scene, quickly as easily as Tendo do. For example, fancy flavors cannot hide poor cooking. Actually, that's just generally good advice for a lot of restaurants I've been to.
Pretty much.
But yeah, she
At least that would make
is
sense. I can follow that one.
never actually put in danger. Like, if she is, it's such a non-threat that Tendo doesn't care about it. And he is protective of her, though. He does care for her. He makes breakfast for her every day, asks her about her day. He just is generally a really good brother. And she loves it. And despite the fact there is no blood between them, Tendo thinks the world of his little sister.
Yeah, he's a good big brother.
Yeah. In fact, he's an extremely good big brother because the next character we're going to talk about, uh, major spoilers, is also his sister,
This is his actual biological sister.
and yet also not his biological sister.
Yeah,
This
we'll
is
discuss that in a few minutes, people.
this is Hiyori Kusakabe. She okay. Tendo's mom was copied by a worm while she was pregnant with her. She is technically a worm, and Tendo doesn't care. That's his sister. His original goal in the show is to find his sister and reunite with her. He does that in episode 1, but he never tells her that, hey, I'm your brother, because that's kind of weird to just enter someone's life and go, I'm your older brother.
Yeah, I just trying to remember, but is she aware she has an older brother out there, or is she like,
Nope.
okay,
She, it's implied she was raised by the worm copy of Tendo's mom, and she passed away not too long before the show starts. Hiyori is kind of a very sheltered, quiet girl, very introverted. Her interests are drawing, and they're not even very great drawings. And there are two weird men in her life all of a sudden. Tendo and the next counter we'll talk about have become very important people in her lives, and she asked for none of it. She's one of the few people who will see Tendo going on about something and go, I don't have time for your bullshit. Get out of my face. And Tendo usually complies. He wants to be there for his sister, but he's not gonna like push himself into her life. He's just gonna be in the nearby area.
which is somehow nicer and creepier at the same time.
Yeah, it kind of is. But he doesn't stop her from making relationships. He will judge some people who try to be in her life, but more along the lines of, you might get into shit, stupid. Be-
Yeah, some
because
lessons
we're,
she's got to learn on your own, also.
yeah. And when she starts to understand that she is a worm, which is near the end of the show, she wants to be even more removed from humanity because she's not a human. She thinks she's a danger to people. And Tendo reaches through to her, convincing her that even if you aren't human, you're family, and I will fight the goddamn world for my family. Like, one of his
Okay, hold on a
lines.
second, Em. But yeah. So Tendo tends to don't on her, but let her make her own mistakes.
Yeah, he is protective and loving, but she's her own person, so I'm gonna back the hell off.
Mm-hmm. Um, and the next person we'll talk to, because I think that's all that's really need to be said about her.
Yeah, actually, I'm just gonna say this. In terms of non-combatant female character counter, she's pretty decent. She's not my
Well,
favorite.
of course she has to be. She's Tendo's sister.
Yes, well, you know what I mean.
I know. I just couldn't help the joke.
Yeah.
Now, Em, you can say it.
Say what?
This character's name.
Oh,
Now you can say it.
Artura. Yes, this is Atera Kagame, the second main character and the most Joe Schmo you get in this show. Like he starts off working two jobs,
Yep.
biking himself, riding his bicycle between jobs, being late to one because the other one is a bit longer than the other.
Kind of the exact opposite of Tendo, really.
Yes, and which is really good. He is the blue Oni of the show. He's a lot more emotive. He's quick to anger, quick to tears, quick to express his feelings, and he is in love with Tendo's sister,
Which one?
not the worm one.
Just say biological or adopted, because that's the only way I can tell them apart.
Okay, biological bio worm clonage,
Okay. Like, that
but
makes so much more sense.
and she is not that interested in him. They work the same cafe. She just ignores him mostly. She doesn't hate him. She's just not interested in romance for a good part of the show. She does eventually warm up to the guy because of his general nicety. He's not, a nice guy for the sake of nice guys in this. He just likes her and he's trying to be good for her.
And what I mean by the opposite of Tendo's, I don't mean he's down on his luck and arrogant. He generally just down on his luck sometimes.
He also lets power go to his head instantaneously.
Yeah, but not like evil power to his head. Just like,
You know what he reminds me of?
what's
The
that?
first episode of Kamen Rider Guy, where a guy is just constantly just enjoying his suit, just doing stupid things, and then
Ah, yes, he's
he feels
just
like he's just a pinch below that. Like I could totally see him just sitting in his room in his Kamen Rider suit.
because he still wants to protect people, and he does desperately try to do that with his
Mhm.
power. So good on him
He
for not being corrupted by power.
he lost his little brother to a worm attack,
Mm.
and then the worm that copied his brother fucks with his head.
Yeah, worms are good for that.
Yeah, they are. Now, the way the worm comes across is very creepy. Hi, brother, I'm back. Now, the worm may be generally thinking I can just smooth on in and be your brother, but to Kagame, who knows what the fuck happened, fuck you. And Tendo actually does something really nice in that fight. He kills the worm, but he does it only when Kagame asks him to. Like, Kagame cannot bring himself at first to fight this worm because it's his brother's memory. It's all he has left. So Tendo just lets the worm wail on him until he's like, you need to choose. Which is more important, saving the day or saving your brother's memory? And so he screams, save the day, and Tendo instantly wins the fight. But Tendo was trying to teach him something that, fighting the bad guy is not always easy. It's not always going to make you feel all warm and heroic at the end of the day.
That it also got the feeling that Tendo was giving him time to sort things out.
Yeah.
Like
Tendo
Tendo
also
knew that this was not going to be an easy decision for him, regardless of whichever way it went.
Tendo also has used his super speed to kill a worm that Kagami was fighting, making Kagami think he won the fight, giving him a confidence boost, which then leads Kagami to winning a fight with worms using just a basic ass like weapon with Alien Rider
Yeah,
powers.
which
You get
I'm
the
happy
almost
for, but it's also at the same time kind of bullshit.
I, well, no, it's implied these weapons always could work. It's just not an easy thing to do.
Oh no, I'm just
Regardless,
saying, like when you consider
I,
that
I got
worms go with that beyond human conception speed, it's kind of like,
well, no, it was a basic green on super speeded worm.
oh, I forgot they have to evolve
Yeah,
to go to the beyond perception, don't they?
yeah.
Okay, I forgot about that. My fault.
No, that's fine. You get the impression that the early parts of the show, once Tendo starts to like Kagami, he's mentoring him. And by the time Kagami gets his blue suit, he starts rapidly almost catching up to Tendo in terms of combat. The two end up being back-to-back fighters at several points, and
See,
not in the sense that Tendo's dumbing himself down, but just Kagami has potential inside of that Tendo saw and is nurtured.
see, here's the one thing that I really liked about the show, and it really kind of shines between Tendo and others. Tendo pretty much does everything better than people. The one thing he can't do is be a better person than that person is.
Hmm. He has said several times. One of my favorite quotes from his grandmother is, let me find the exact word. Uh, I can't seem to find it. There are just too many good grandma quotes.
But what I mean by that is like Tendo can do everything perfect, but he's still not going to be a better Kagami than Kagami.
Hmm.
Which, after hearing Nintendo say he can do everything perfectly, really makes you think for a second there.
Mm.
That a person is also the sums of their faults, and not being able to do something perfect, because he sometimes not being able to do something perfect gets better results, in my opinion.
Grandmother said this: imitating others is not bad. That is how we recognize ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty true to life. Because at several points, Kagami tries to act more like Tendo. And it quickly teaches him lessons that he can't be Tendo.
And
But
Tendo
by
can't be him.
but by being a little bit more like Tendo, he can be more heroic. He can save the day more often.
Or in what some people might be a better version of himself.
Yes. And that is what I believe the path to heaven Tendo is talking about is that he's trying to inspire people as well as save his family and defend what matters to him.
Mm-hmm.
Tendo does have a savior mentality. Like he does think he's better than Jesus, which, I'd follow religion to bit Tendo. But Kagami ends up having two different suits. We'll talk about his first suit because he only uses it for episode 2. But his main suit is the Katak suit, which stands for God of Attack. It is a stag beetle. Its mast form has giant shoulder cannons.
See, I kind of like this one because it showed more of an defensive and offensive kind of thing.
Hmm. Whereas every other defensive suit basically just kind of nerfs them. You would actually argue that sometimes it's better to be in his mast form because he takes hits better, and yeah, he can, if he just blows up the air around him, no matter how fast you're going, you're still gonna get hit by that explosion.
Yeah.
And at first, he is not worthy of the attack Zector. It doesn't like him. But at his lowest moment, it does come to him. It feels very fitting. And one of my favorite things about that is Tendo doesn't steal his glory.
Nope.
He once he becomes a attack, he rarely gets in Gatak's fights. It's literally when counter attack is up against an impossible odds that's so unfair. That's when Kabuto shows up to help him. After that, he's like, "Nope, you're your own man now. I believe in you," and
Oh,
I
look,
like
Soba.
that. Yeah, these two are not rivals like so many Kamen Rider first two writers are.
It
This is
feels
where
more like,
this is when I coined the term side rider because literally Katak feels like the sidecar to a motorcycle.
you know
And
what it
honestly, I
feels
think
like in a sort of odd
mm,
sense.
mm,
Much because I really think Geats took a lot from this show when they're making that when they were making Geats.
mm,
This
which is
feels
fair.
like the potential main character,
Yeah,
and Tendo is just raising a main character.
yeah. Honestly, I could have totally seen the second show, the next show afterwards being all Epic Attack with maybe Kabuto showing up every once in a blue moon. But yeah, and I generally liked Kagami. He was a pretty decent character.
But yeah, it feels like he's, like I said, he's the main character in training, and
Hmm.
Tendo is like the wise sensei, just letting him get his own fights, but
Yeah,
still giving advice and making sure he doesn't get himself overwhelmed too soon.
yeah. Now, the Attack Masked Rider form is pretty decent too, I think. It's not one of my favorites, but the massive cannons break off and now become dual wielded scimitars, which you can also lock together to make scissors, which is stupid.
Well, it's kind
But
of imitating how the pincers kind of work on an actual
yeah, which
beetle. So,
can be kind of brutal when he uses it.
mm. Now the only
But
thing that feels weird on this one is the chest piece still feels bulky, but at the same time it feels like a good bulk.
yeah, he definitely feels he can take a few blows. He definitely feels more. The suit feels more aggressive than Kabuto's, which works for Kagami's fighting style. Is more to rush in, where
Mm-hmm.
Tendo's is to be tranquil like water. He's a flaming fist to your face.
Which,
Kagami is
aside
not
from the
subtle.
color choice,
Yeah, Kagami is not subtle. I think they did that on purpose, making the red character the calm one, the blue one the angry, not the angry one, but the more
well,
aggressive
you see,
one.
it's all about the inner calmness and inner fear. That's why the eye colors are the way they are.
That's probably actually what they did it for. They like that kind of symbolism in Japanese
Yeah.
shows, and that's the reason why we love them so much. But yeah, this is a stag beetle suit, and I kind of like the mouth plate more than most writers, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, at least you can tell where the horns fold out with it.
Yeah, regardless, like I mentioned before, there's a non-canon Hyper episode, which was just a DVD special, where Tendo points out that because the Hyper Sector is from beyond space and time, I'll just give you a duplicate. So for one epic fight, they have Hyper Kabuto and Hyper Attack.
Yeah, like I said, don't think too much
I
about it.
don't like Hyper Attack.
I I'm indifferent.
I like the helmet slightly more, but the chest plate is
The
so ugly
helmet,
I
the
just don't
horns
like
are
it.
just ridiculous to me on that one.
Yeah, fair enough. It also has a hyper clock up form, but rather than redesign the suit, they just slightly changed the colors once low. And now I really don't like it.
See, this is one of the things where I think gold is just not the right color to have used for this.
No, no.
Like I know it's like
But
the highlight color of the beetle on his um
yeah,
Zector,
I
but
just like how for the non-canon episode they decided to throw the secondary character a bone and give him more power. Even if I don't like the suit, it's very much intended to point out that hey, I can break the rules of space-time. Let's break the rules of space-time.
yeah, and that's one of the things I like and dislike about this. It feels like they're just making up rules just to
Yeah, and
break them.
the
It's
hyper the hyper battle one brought back the line we spoke about copying people in a different way. Grandmother said this: "There's nothing wrong with imitating a person as long as it's to find who you really are," which is the hyper battle is not subtle in the slightest. So I love how they brought back the subtle quote and smashed you over the head with it.
yeah. I mean, like I said, it's not a bad concept,
Mm.
but how do I put this? It's kind of with UN where you need to understand the rules of what's going on,
Hmm.
and this one just kind of is what bit me in the ass about is because like, so is it just this one from the timeline or is this the same? Like, I'm confused.
I always took it as it was the Zector seconds before it exploded moved itself into the future.
All right, I I'm not gonna argue that because
So it's from the past, but also the future.
I just think they
Anyway,
could have done more than just paint the chess piece gold.
well, the hyper battles are usually done on no budget, like a normal
Okay,
Kamen Rider. So
I think they should have done something different with the horns and just make them bigger, and
yeah,
just have
well,
a and use a
they
different color
they
than
made the
gold because this is one of the times.
they made the Kabuto horn bigger, so I guess that's what they were thinking.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
what they should have done was I would have used probably more silver with the chess piece.
yeah, I would have. Well, silver's the main color for hyper Kabuto, so they want to keep the yin yang thing going on.
Yeah,
I
I can respect that and understand that, but I just don't think gold was the one to use for
no,
this color.
especially this shade of gold where it looks
Yeah,
more
because
like
it just doesn't look well
it.
with that blue. Is
That
really what it
you
is.
know that yellow makes me think of.
What's that?
Don't eat the yellow snow.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but
let's get on. Let's get on to our next
well, I'm just
character.
gonna say
Well,
one thing real quick is that I think what really was I'm not trying to blame the creators of the suit or anything like that because they have only so much they can work with, but the headpiece just looks so plasticky and toyish to me. So I think what's the main problem is like the chest piece is meh.
mm,
There's
yeah.
not really much of a problem there. It's the two giant horns attached to his head. They just look like someone just took like cardboard or like plastic and made that.
Mm.
And I think that's what my problem is. That it just doesn't look menacing like it previously did. It looks like someone just took oversized plastic and just put it on there.
I suppose.
But like I said, that's not a shot at the creators for this because I know they have a lot of work they got to do with on a budget. So
Like I said, the DVD specials usually have absolutely no budget.
yeah, so they did what they could with what they had. So I'll give them props for that. But I would have done a different direction with it. Like maybe make the horns pointier or something like that. Like make them look threatening. But
Mm.
eh. Moving on. Since this one wants to load.
On to our next Kamen Rider.
And we have this guy,
This is Kagami's dad.
Riku
Riku,
Kagami.
yeah, or Kagami Riku, depending on how you want to pronounce. Anyway, he is the head of Zect. Zect is the organization that is fighting the worms that produce the Zectors.
Wait,
Oh, I wonder.
Zectors, Zect. I'm seeing a connection.
Yes, he is a very no nonsense guy. He also is a very let your kids learn on their own kind of person. He is.
And this is where we got to bring up that there's technically two groups of worms now.
Mhm. The worms that are attacking came about 15 years before the show started. The ones that came even before, refer to themselves as natives. God, I do not like throwing that word around for anything besides Aboriginal people.
And here's the thing. Number one, this brings up so many questions because is this natural for the worms to want to just kind of try and live peacefully? Are they an offshoot or are they at war with each other?
Well, they are at war with each other, and they're using Zect as a proxy.
Yeah,
Actually, not really
figures.
a proxy. Not really a proxy. The natives. I'm going to keep saying air quotes every single time I say that. Um, used basically came to certain people, such as Riku Kagame, saying, "Hey, an evil group of us is going to attack Earth soon. We're going to give you the means to defend yourselves, and you're going to keep us nice and safe, aren't you?" Uh, for his sake, Riku Kagami did not really trust them at all, but he basically looked at them going, "Yeah, I've seen your abilities. We kind of do need an edge against them." So they produced uh, powerful weapons that normal people can use, and the Zectors, which
Yeah.
would take a person above and beyond.
See, this is the point where we all realize that worms are kind of dicks.
Yeah. The natives' plan is to mutate all of humanity into the same subspecies of worms they are. They want to take over the world, and they're doing a much more subtle job of doing it. They have several fail-safe plans as well, including something I've dubbed the Red Shoes program. The Red Shoes program is a reference to an old fairy tale of a little girl who put on magic shoes that let her dance. They didn't stop her from dancing. They didn't never let her stop dancing though. She danced until her feet were nubs. The Red Shoes program was put in Kabuto and Katak to make them fight against their will. If they fought enough worms, eventually they would just keep fighting worms until there were only native worms left.
See, here's the thing I really don't buy into that. It's like you're trying to tell me you're trying to do something more subtle than replacing people so that to the point that no one could know that they were replaced.
And they did it.
Yeah, so I don't. I'm confused here. Why are you trying to do anything else?
The native worms, I don't really understand them myself, but they take normal people. They don't go for big shot people, but they still remain important to Zect. So they turn into like a Joe Schmo, and because they were a native worm, Zect has to protect them because they're the source of Zector's main technology. And after a while, they take control of Zect by basically removing Riku, who is the one person who doesn't trust them, but is powerful enough to do something about it.
See, if the worms were smart, they would just start replacing Joe Schmo and just work their way up the Tilter ladder.
Yeah, that's what the worms should be doing, and it's kind of what the native worms did. Mm. Regardless, he starts off as kind of a semi-antagonistic character. He doesn't trust Tendo because Tendo basically stole the Kabuto sector.
Yeah, I stole by sticking my hand out. And your beetle coming to me. That makes sense.
Because the Beetle knew better.
I can't tell who has the
Um,
bigger ego, Tendo or the beetle.
both,
Yeah, both is accurate.
yeah. But it also comes across as him liking Tendo as a wild card against the natives. But it's not until halfway through the show he lets Tendo know about them, which Tendo kind of knew about them, but also didn't fully know. It's Tendo. What he knows and what he does not know is up to the plot.
No, it's up to decide what he does or does not know. He is plot.
Yes. Regardless, he is an interesting character, and he does care for his son, and it is heavily implied that he became much more focused on his work after his younger son died.
Yeah, that'll
To
do
over,
it.
yeah, he and Arata are not on the best of terms, but not like hating each other. It's more along the lines of, hey, hey.
Yeah, family relations are a pain in the ass sometimes.
What I do love about it, though, is despite the fact he is basically a CEO of a company, he's not forcing that life on his son. If his son wants that, he'll get it. And his son decides to join Zect, but at the bottom level and work his way up with no help from dad. If he fucks up, he fucks up. That's his deal. And I do respect that. They
Mm-hmm.
both want to make a name for themselves. And I do feel like he would throw his son a bone the second he had to, but he's never his son has never asked for it, which is fair.
Yeah.
I like that. But let's
Uh,
actually.
yeah, let's move on to Mr. Angsty Angst.
This is So Yakumura. He also has two suits. He's the first user of Zabi, and then later becomes Kickhopper.
Which is Kick
He,
Hopper what he's wearing right now.
yes, he is originally an elite of Zek. He is the Shadow Commander, the field leader, and the first one who comes across as completely up his own ass arrogant. Tendo spends the first few episodes interacting with him, just knocking him down a peg cathartically.
Yeah.
Like he shows up, he has to make sure his suit is proper at all times. Perfect suit, perfect hair, perfect. He makes perfect food, perfect strategies, perfect battles, and Nintendo just keeps one-upping him by doing barely any effort. It eventually leads Zubby to leave him, which causes him to lose his position and for him to fall into spiraling despair and go completely emo goth.
But yeah, real quick, people. M's mic has decided it wants to buzz every once in a while. I'm trying to do what I can with it, but it's just a technical issue we're just gonna have to work through because I hate trying to record multiple times with this shit.
Yeah, that's fair.
So apologies if that's annoying. I am trying to do what we can with it, but bear with
A-
us.
anyway,
But yeah,
he's just he's a perfectionist and Nintendo destroys. And when he comes back, he has a catchphrase of "Have you laughed at me?" as his catchphrase. And if he finds out you were laughing at him or laughing at something he liked, he beats the crap out of him.
yeah, he's a bit of a dick, and by
Yeah,
bit I mean massive.
even like at first I didn't even realize the same guy came back because he was gone for that long after losing the Zabi, coming back as another rider with a completely different shtick and not talking about perfection anymore. Just pure, almost nihilism.
Yeah,
I just did not like him.
I don't think he liked himself.
I do like his suits though.
Speaking of suits,
His first one, Zabi, Mast Form.
no, not to be. It's what are these suits?
These are the Zek Troopers.
Now
They're
I
just
love and hate these guys at the same time.
they're an evolution of the troopers from Fi's.
The
Was
Rider
it Rhino
Troopers.
Troopers? Yeah, they're just dudes in like basic armor. These guys don't even henshin. They just suit up, put on some Kevlar, some body or some dumb suits, some actual decent helmets in terms of letting them see and giving them stats, and basically put a giant bulbous thing on their arm for machine gun slash swords.
See, that's what I don't like is that bulbous thing that they grab for weaponry. I'm like,
I always took it as they're that bulbous because they need that much ammunition to put down a single worm. And these guys do kill worms.
yeah,
Just
the basic worms.
mm, yeah, never the evolved ones.
I'm just saying, it's like,
Kagami Atara's original job is to trail these guys with heat sensitive cameras to determine when the worms are about to molt. Because when they overheat, they molt and transform. It's kind of his job to let people know, oh shit, they're gonna go super speed.
and once they go
But
super speed, these guys are absolutely useless.
yeah, they go. We go through more troopers like coffee paper.
And if it comes down to a war of attrition, we're boned
Yeah, definitely boned.
because one super speed worm kind of screws this entire equation up.
Yeah. So Yagomori is the commander of these guys. And with his tactics, they actually do take down a fair few number of worms.
Yeah, I like the idea of having units to fight the worms. I
Yeah.
like the fact that they have a uniform with Kevlar and helmets and stuff to protect them.
Yeah. They're also really damn imposing. They, at several points, uh, attack normal people in order to get. So if they're defending a worm, well, they're going to go after you to get the worm too.
Mm-hmm.
So they can actually be pretty intimidating. It's just they're outclassed most of the times against the monsters and especially against the riders. But they still use these guys way better than the Ryo Troopers.
Yeah, like I said, my only problem with them is their weapons. And it's only
Yeah,
because,
like I understand they're probably that big for ammunition. They still look stupid. What
yeah,
I don't like is when the sword folds out. It's so incredibly floppy because deep prop.
yeah.
Floppy swords is a very
You
big
know what
problem
it
with
really
Kamen Rider.
is with the weapons? It doesn't
Well,
look that stable to hold.
no, and they tend to just shoot and spray. So,
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Is like it doesn't. Okay, the two things are like it doesn't look that stable to hold, and
hmm
there's nothing really to aim with.
no,
Like there's not even
I, I,
iron
I,
sights in
I,
those things.
I guess that's what the helmets are for to help you aim.
Well, it does look like there's a little camera down here to kind of give you an aiming thing with the helmet, but still, that should just
Yeah, no, rework the weapon, and they would have been really good.
yeah. Plus, they do fire bullets. How the hell do you reload that?
Um, you don't need to reload. You just grab your dead friend's gun.
What if he already used all his bullets? That's why he's dead.
Well, you're gonna be dead soon anyway, so you don't have to worry about that.
Hmm.
Is that what it is? They never figured they'd come back from a fight, so they just gave guns like that.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, this is the Zubby suit.
Okay,
It's the
this is
only,
one of the ones that are a little more different because his Zector is on his wrist.
which I do like how they're not all the same devices.
Mm-hmm.
The only other difference is that he has yellow legs, yellow armor on his legs. Everyone else has silver.
Well, that's because how higher up he is. He's the higher quality gold or
Yes,
metal.
and honestly, I think the helmet's stupid in this form.
Well, I get what they're trying to go for with the beehive look.
Yes,
So props for at least having a theme on this.
yes,
But this looks better.
it does. And basically, the bee goes on his arm, and to go to his rider form, he just twists the bee around so the stinger is going forward.
And that's
Now,
actually part of his finisher attack too.
yeah, he pulls back a little thing on the wings, and he can do a rider punch, which it's nice to see a rider punch again. They haven't done one. I don't think there are any since Fives.
Yeah, I can't be too specific about that because I'm not that familiar with between fives and this, to be honest with you.
Now, that's all. He has no range weapon. In the Decade episode, he shows up and he can shoot stingers from his thing, but that's only for Decade. So he's a purely close range fighter, flanked by machine gun toting lackeys, which actually kind of makes sense. They soften him up. They soften up the enemies. He goes in and finish them. Or if he gets overwhelmed, they cover him. It's a good strategy.
That's why there's no aiming because if they hit him, no one cares.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Zabi has 4 users. And by the end of the show, just nah. It
Yeah,
is
not all these are going to be winners.
no. This one's just meh, in my opinion.
I mean, it's better than its armored form, but that's
Yeah. So Kagami, for a few episodes, got the Zabi, and it made him commander of the Zek troopers. He wasn't very good at commanding. He lost. And the Zabi left him.
yeah. At least Kagami knew where his limits were. He
Yes.
tried.
He admit he admitted he couldn't fill that role.
At least he
And he
tried.
didn't
I'll give him
and
props for
also
trying.
give him something longer range than a punch stinger.
Yeah.
But that was early on. It's much later in the show he gets the attack, so it felt very earned by the time he got it.
Yeah. So let's move on.
To the third or second, I forget the order these guys got these things.
Look,
But
I forget the order of these guys in general, so
this is Shu Kageyama. He was one of the Zek troopers, and oh god, he's a sniveling little idiot. I do not like him in the slightest.
I just don't like his appearance at all in this one.
No. He's sniveling, he wants power, and after he loses Zabi for a while, he goes in depression, and then he's offered Zabi back, and he immediately goes back to it, but then loses it again and goes back in depression.
My God, it's almost like it's a cycle.
Yeah. He is the punch hopper as well. He becomes Kagayame's brother. Not Kagayame, Yagumaru.
Yeah, he also started as a trooper.
But you get a better view of it.
Yeah,
Decent armor.
I do like the outfit. It does feel.
Oh my god, I just realized something.
What's that?
They reused the suit for those commoners I didn't like. The demons.
Huh.
Oh my god. It's the same knee pad, same leg guards. It was a prototype suit.
See, at least I get like a military force feeling out of this suit.
Yeah.
It's a little baggy because it's a universal size.
Yeah, one size supposed to fit all.
It's not
but
like it's so baggy you're tripping over it.
or preparing to do hammer time.
But at the same time, it's not overwhelmingly tight or anything like that. It'll restrict movement.
Yeah,
Like I said, you get a helmet, so you're protecting your noggin.
which
Chest
all it's
piece that
missing,
actually looks like it can take
all
a
it,
shot.
all it's missing is knee pads.
I knew something was missing. You need at least one knee pad for when you kneel down to shoot.
Yeah, because they usually take the kneeling position when they shoot, despite the fact they kind of spray and pray.
Well, no, they're ducking down so the guy behind him doesn't shoot him in the back.
I don't know. That guy's pretty badly anyway.
Well, look, would you rather be a standing target or at least try and get some distance between you and the bullets?
Fair enough. Wait, maybe they're also spraying and praying because they're worried the guys will super speed, so why bother aiming?
No, they're praying not to be shot and they're spraying to try and kill everybody else before they get shot.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, here's a good view, I believe, of uh, Kick and Punch Hopper, if it loads.
I envy you. For what possible reason? I'm just you, but green.
No, that's green envying
Oh, then
gold.
you're just me, but green.
Green is Kick Hopper, and Punch is the silverish one. I don't like these two. They are an homage to Kamen Riders 1 and 2, and their theme song actually is quite good, but that's it. Because they're grasshoppers, like the original Kamen Riders were. If you haven't guessed, Kick Hopper has a kick finisher, Punch Hopper has a punch finisher.
I never would have guessed. I thought they belly flopped to victory.
These guys don't have masked forms. That is all I want to say about these two.
Yeah, let's move on.
Oh, the cat came to visit me.
Yay,
Yeah.
kitty visits. Okay, come on, computer. You can do it. There it goes. Any second now. There we go.
Now we have Daisuke Kazama, Kamen Rider Drake,
I
or
actually like this character.
also known as Makeup.
This
He has
is
a he also has a running catchphrase of like it's yeah yes that that's his catchphrase. He goes, he can't remember something, and then someone reminds him, so he goes, yes that. He is obsessed with beauty and makeup. He's a wandering amazing artist, Casanova. He spends the show protecting a little lost girl who um, uh, I forget why she's lost. He's a good person, but he's also kind of up his own ass.
uh, he's the kind of person that's up his own ass, but I don't hate him for it.
No, he's
Like he's not out to be. Okay, he is a bit arrogant. I will say that,
mhm.
but he's not out to conquer the world or anything like that. And his arrogance only kind of pushes him to try and do his job better in a way. Because once Tendo outdoes him, he really tries to do better.
Mhm. He
And
also got dropped from the show because the actor wanted to practice go on his music career more, but he did cameo a few times.
fair enough.
Yeah, I hope his music career went well.
Yeah, so do I. Not that I know anything about Japanese music careers, because
No, yeah,
yeah,
no.
I don't. I mean, like the music, but I can't follow shit.
Yeah, no. But overall, he's not my favorite character, but I didn't hate him. I just
I found him
wasn't.
enjoyable just because of how he is.
Yeah,
Like he shows up, he's entertaining to me, and he just really just tries. His point is to try to make people look their best.
yeah.
Mostly
He's not like
females, but yeah,
yeah, yeah. He uses makeup in a sense of he says to bring out the inner beauty or to make someone feel more confident in themselves, which is what makeup is for. It's not for vanity's sake.
yeah.
Which hey, I like that.
Plus, it's
Also,
always just fun watching him carry around his
guitar.
guitar case full of makeup, whip it out, and like in a flash of an eye, he's done.
Yeah, he can basically go clock up only from applying makeup on his normal form.
And
So I
it's
like his
like I
hat.
said, it's just really just fun watching this guy just come up stage and just do his job.
Yeah,
So then we get to his
masked
dragonfly
form.
motif armor.
Yeah, I kind of prefer his masked form over his rider form.
Well, see, this is one of the few ones that actually it's easier to tell what's coming out from underneath the armor.
It also apparently references that dragonflies are born underwater, since he has a scuba design to his helmet.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I only just reread that in the Wikipedia.
Fair enough.
Hey, I'll admit to, my memory not being the best, so I like to use some of the material to help remind myself of shit.
Like I said, I just never watched this show entirely. I just remember this entire because has one of my favorite suits, despite it also having one of my small ticks I hate about some armors.
Hmm. Now, his weapon is actually his Zector, so he always has his gun with him.
Mm-hmm. See,
And
you
this is
could
his rider
easily
form.
tell where this was going from the other suit,
Yeah, which works. The
and
only thing I really remember about him is Kabuto countering his finisher, the rider shooting.
yeah, the only thing I really don't like about this armor is the shoulder pads.
The left one's fine, the right one is not, and the right one's his main arm.
Yeah, the wings would get in the way of him moving over his arm. Like the going down from a shoulder pad, armoring the arm that he's going to shoot with. I get that. That makes sense to me. He's
Yeah, it does.
protecting his firing arm.
Hmm.
Hindering his mobility with a shoulder pad that goes where his arm should be moving where he's shooting does not.
Hmm.
Now, if they reversed that, I could understand it.
Yeah, I could too.
But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Also, I may not like the design, but I do think those are some damn good color choices.
Yeah,
It's a nice,
he's blue, but it's a very different shade than Katak.
yeah, it's a nice
And unlike
metallic kind of
Katak,
blue.
his eyes are almost the same blue as the rest of his armor. It might be a certainly different shade because of material, but
Mhm.
it's harder to tell.
I also do think the eyes look kind of cool.
Yeah, the wing. He's got a very wing motif with his eyes and the wings, or this chest piece. So I do like that about that. They tried to make them really different between each other.
Yeah,
So, and points for them for using the Zector as a weapon
yeah,
for another spot of difference, other than just like attaching it to a punch. It just turns into an actual freaking gun.
yeah.
So, I mean, he's a terrible at close range, but he can shoot at least.
All right, so on to our next character.
The white screen.
Oh, he shows up a lot.
Yeah. Man, it was one of the most recurring characters.
This is Sugiri Kishimaru, Kamen
The
Rider
Scorpion
Sword.
Zector user.
Yeah. Now his entire Zector is the sword. The Scorpion just latches onto the sword handle
Which he carries the sword around with him.
almost all the time.
Feels like that
Also, he
should
has
be
a
violating some sort of law in Japan, but
yes, but he's uber rich, so
yeah, good point.
he is essentially what people think Tendo is in terms of arrogance. His catchphrases are "the man who swings a sword in the name of God," "I am the man who stands or will stand at the zenith of such task he's trying to do." He thinks
Yeah.
he is the greatest thing ever at everything he does.
And
Like,
then he meets
I,
Tendo and gets knocked down a
I
couple of pegs.
yeah, I
Or a
am the man
couple
who will
hundred
stand at
pegs.
the zenith of tennis playing. Tendo beats him at tennis. I am the man who stands at the zenith of kendo. Tendo beats him at kendo.
Yeah, he's the guy that really just is Mr.
Yeah.
Arrogance.
Now he does actually have a lot of skill to him. It's just because
Tendo's
he's
just better.
yeah, because he's just so rich as well. Not a lot of people have been able to stand up to him. He's also uh, kind of had no parents from a very young age.
Yeah.
The closest thing he had to a relative is his Alfred. I mean Butler.
Well, Alfred pretty much is best butler.
Yeah, this is his Butler's damn close.
You know, he could actually play at Alfred.
I could definitely see him playing an Alfred in a Japanese Batman. But this is
I'd watch that.
Jaya. This is Gia. This is one of the people Tendo respects the most.
Because he made one thing better than Tendo.
And Tendo was just like, my God, this is delicious.
No, me, this is delicious.
And no matter how bad his master gets around Tendo, he and Tendo are just like, good day, good day. Good to see you.
Like I remember the one episode where
Mm,
oh god, he got like I think it was like sick or injured.
yes.
And Tendo was like, this man cannot die.
Yeah, he refused to let this man die.
And he's pretty much for shaming what's
Yeah,
his name for being a dick about it.
he is your retainer, not your servant.
Yeah.
That's basically what he said. It's like, he works for you. He loves you. Do not work him into the goddamn ground. Or I will kick the crap out of you.
To be fair, there's one more moments where the other character actually started to kind of pull his
Yeah.
head out of his ass.
Yeah. Kagami also is responsible for making Rich Boy act a bit better. Sugiri's catchphrase to me is "my good friend Kagami." Because anytime after they become friends, basically Kagami's his first friend ever, so he wants to lavish his friend with respect and love. And this is his sword's masked form.
I hate it.
But those yellow tubes can be used as whips and shoot poison.
I still hate it.
I don't like them around.
I I don't mind it being taken out uses with, but it looks like a really restrict movement until he does that.
Yeah,
Like there's restraining your armor, and then there's just stupidly holding yourself back.
like is it supposed to be that like restrained training stuff?
I don't know, but I just don't like it.
No. Now when it casts off into Scorpion mode, the rider form, I really like this suit. Mostly because it uses that delicious Bandai purple that gets later, and the nice green it gets later used for Oz's Putotira, but it also has some differences because it has a nice sword holster on his left leg, and the Scorpion stinger actually can stick too. On his helmet.
Yeah, and I do kind of like the little thing different they did with the headpiece, having the tail go up, and rather than kind of go down and kind of be like a ponytail kind of like thing,
Yeah.
it's just up and like I don't. I think they
The
could have
question
done better with it, but yeah,
question mark. It
yeah,
looks good question mark. Also, his shoulders are not really in the way, and because they're uniform, it lets him easily switch which hand he's dueling with the sword.
yep.
He also has no ranged weapons.
But like all the other competent riders, he's got knee pads.
Mm-hmm.
We can't express it enough. Knee pads are needed.
Now, we have no bloody clue how Sisord and Drake were not owned by Zect members. Like, Kick and Punch Hopper are at least former members of Zect, so maybe they knew about them and stole them. But Sisord and Drake are just out and about in wild people's hand. Like, maybe Zect is funded by Sugiri's family, so he's just like, you know what? I want a rider suit.
Either
No,
that, or
that's
he
stupid.
just said, "Mine, see ya." Wait, you can't take. He, God damn it! I hate working for this place.
Uh, at least he left this bag of money for us.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I just see him walking into the lab, handing everyone in the room a bag of money and walking out with the sword. And everyone's like, sometimes I like my work here.
it's either the best way to work or the worst way to work. I can't tell which way this place.
Yeah. But
Because on one hand, they
there,
seem to have the most uptight security, especially when it comes to the worms.
yep.
On the other
They
hand,
make
it
a
feels like they're just flopping around with everything else.
they make a big deal about the security of Kabuto's bike, and then Kabuto still steals it.
So it feels like, okay, we got this top notch army to fight the worms, but we can't even guard our own shit. This feels counterproductive.
Like I said, they blow up the hyper sector to prevent Kabuto from getting it because they're that determined on him not getting it. And he still gets it because he breaks space time.
And at that point, I'd be like, you know what? I just give up, Tendo. Just don't kill me and just do whatever. I'm going home.
Yeah, I
It
would
ain't
just
worth
lay
it.
down. Like, I'm done. I'm just taking a
And the
nap
nice
here.
thing is that Tendo would be like, smart, good for you, and just walk by you.
You have learned your place in the universe. Anyway, Sagiri is a pretty interesting character. He's mostly comic relief, I find, and
Yeah,
actually
but
pretty
at the
funny
same
comic
time, his
relief.
small growth spurts are what really define him in the show.
But
Like,
like many good characters, there's a bit of tragedy to him. See, before he became Sisord, a worm killed his sister, and it caused a lot of mental trauma to him. So much mental trauma that the worm that copied him also got mental damage. The worm doesn't know it's a worm anymore until it starts to remember.
yeah, this is where we get kind of into the funkiness of the worms.
Yeah, when they copy you, they copy everything perfectly. And Sugiri's personality was so strong and his trauma was so strong, it overrid the worms until stress causes him to transform back into this. And he spent so much long time as Sugiri forgetting he was a worm. He doesn't want to be a worm.
I also just find it funny that the worm, scorpion worm, is the user of the scorpion Zect. It's kind of like,
Did he intend on that? Is that a subconscious thing?
or is fate just really that much of a pain in the ass?
Yeah. But the thing is, Sugiri knew this white worm killed his sister. And one of the reasons why he's a sword is to hunt down this worm.
Talk about self-loathing.
Yeah. I believe it's his good friend Kagami that has to put him down, breaking poor Jaya's heart.
Yeah.
Because Jia raised him. He raised both the brother and sister, and he knew all along that the scorpion worm was the one that replaced him, but he couldn't bring himself to admit to that. Also, I forgot about this plot point. Sugiri was bankrupting his family to hunt for this worm. And also to show up Tendo.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of really like about him is he's the comic relief with a really tragic story to him, and it's just an example of Kabuto's good writing because you end up really feeling for him at the end.
Yeah, you really did. And it's like,
Also, the actor who played the butler breaking down is just gut punch.
whatever happened to the butler after that? Did he just
Uh,
vanish?
he kind of vanishes. He goes off to refine himself, and Tendo wishes him well.
Ah,
I get the heavy impression that Tendo sent it to his grandma, if grandma's still alive.
makes sense to me.
But grandma needs a butler.
No, Grandma needs to taste his cooking because if he outdid Tendo, that's some good cooking.
I mean, it's implied that Tendo learned cooking from his grandma, so she might be impressed. So here we have Tendo.
Wait a minute. It doesn't look like the Zek Beetle.
No, this is Kamen Rider Dark Kabuto.
Yeah, you knew this was coming with the talk of time travel and shit.
Wait, this is Shoji Kusakabe. Kusakabe being Tendo's family name. Tendo is his grandmother's name. So when he went to live with her, he took his grandma's last name.
What a
This
good
is
grandson.
this is his birth name, but it isn't birth Tendo. This is a human mutated into a native worm and then forced to copy Tendo. In a sense of the native worms needed an anti-Tendo weapon. Why not just send Tendo to fight Tendo?
Yeah, anybody else smelling burnt rubber?
Yeah. The downside about this is his poor Kusakabe is not mentally stable.
Well, gee, I can't imagine why.
I'm not sure if it's from the experiments the worms did to him or trying to copy Tendo's personality, which is too much for anything to handle.
I'm gonna go with both
Let's go with both.
because
As
none of that part of that sounded like a good idea to me.
he is obsessively protective of Hiyori.
Because here's my question: why didn't they just have a worm do this with Tendo? That sounded like a much easier idea.
Well, the natives themselves don't fight, is their excuse.
I'm just saying, like that sounded like so much of a simpler idea.
It is, but the natives themselves don't fight.
Well,
Don't
then
make the human natives.
why didn't one of the other worms try and do this? Like, this is the question I have. It's like,
I don't know why the regular attacking worms didn't do this, but regardless, he has the Dark Kabuto sector.
which I think is kind of cooler than standard the Kabuto armor.
You're totally allowed to think that.
But Hyper Kabuto just kind of really was better designed. But I just like
Yeah,
the
no, he's on even fighting ground with regular Kabuto, but regular Kabuto has hyper form. He rarely uses to fight Dark Kabuto.
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between them unless you look at the Zector.
And the eyes.
Yeah, I forgot about the eyes.
Yeah. But like I said, he is obsessive with Fiori, really demanding her be with him, an almost a mother-like figure rather than a little sister figure.
You know what I think I really like about the Dark Kabuto though?
The cybernetic wire like design for the armor.
Yeah, it looks like a prototype suit they didn't finish.
It probably was rough to get her to fight Kabuto. It might be technically stronger than regular Kabuto, but Tendo's fighting regular Kabuto.
Yeah, Tendo just kind of compensates for everything.
You can zoom into the chest, please, if you want.
Yep, yep.
So after Hiyori really discovers what she is, she and Kusagabe run to a space between time.
Okay, now I'm really
Yeah.
starting to smell burnt rubber.
Now, in order to reach this place, they just kind of use her innate worm powers and Dark Kabuto to just do that. And Tendo needs to use Hyper Kabuto to kind of reach it and try and save his sister from this white void of nothingness, which she went into to protect him and everyone else from herself.
Well, we all
And
know
when
it's. Oh, that's the end of time. Never mind.
yeah, he convinces her to come back, Dark Kabuto comes back and freak out because you stole my sister, give her back. And they get into a big fight, and then they find out his origins, and then he kind of becomes a non-character for a bit.
Yeah, not
But
exactly the best background written character.
yeah,
When
but this was still when there weren't many evil writers about, so having a second evil copy was kind of cool.
look, I kind of like the idea of how he's kind of Tendo, but not Tendo.
Yeah, he's
But
Tendo if he came out wrong.
given the thing that the Wormers really convoluted this, I just don't like that part
No,
because it feels like there's easier ways to do this, but you
look,
just
if
made
you
it overly complicated for no apparent reason.
just enjoy the fights with them, that's all I say.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, this is what I was talking about with the worms and them being like, you
Mm-hmm.
overcomplicate things unnecessarily. Like, there's complicated plans
Mm-hmm.
for world conquest. I get that because it could be a complicated thing. But you
Mm-hmm.
literally have powers that make your life easier in doing so, and you just do this shit.
Uh,
I mean, this is so complicated. Even M wouldn't do it.
I do like my Machiavellian plans, and I also do like Rube Goldberg machines.
Yeah, but
But
even you wouldn't. This is like,
but I'm also the guy in video games that if you give me a sniper rifle, I will solve 95% of my problems by just shooting someone in the head and getting it over with.
yeah, I'm just saying, like, so it's the disorganization of the wormers that really killed this show for me.
That is completely
And
utterly
this is
fair.
coming from the guy who also understands the Orphanax.
I mean, the Orphanax were what would be.
So let's
Yeah,
see where we're going now.
this is what the native worms look like. The only difference is they have a giant, stupid, floppy horn, and they act like a completely different species, better than their aggressive counterparts.
They're not. They just do things differently.
Yeah, they're just Machiavellian plans with too many convoluted steps, while the worms are just like, I can turn into someone. And what's your plan after that? Kill the person turned into. And after that, make more worms?
Chimichangas. That's the next step. Chimichangas.
Great. Now I'm just picturing an army of worms turning into Deadpool.
Or is Deadpool turning into an army of worms?
Considering how Tsukigiri's mental overrid that one, it's a possibility.
Let's be honest, though. It would make the story a lot better.
Would it?
Yes. But it, like, I don't mind the worms having two groups.
No.
I don't mind the worms having different views on how they should do things. But like I said, they overcomplicate the shit out of things that could be done simply.
They do.
As I said, okay, so instead of replacing lower level people to get to the higher level people and making your own organization to infiltrate humans, you pretty much go to the people and go, hey, listen, we're going to give you this stuff to protect us.
Yep.
Why? You could just replace the people and just do it all yourself. We're lazy. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Good thing laziness is universal. Otherwise, we'd be screwed on this one.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I get the idea of using humanity as your foot soldiers. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I understand where that plan was, part of where that plan was coming from.
Yes.
But what they should have done, because it's been proven that humans can use or worms can use Zectors once they become
Yep.
human. See, Scorpion guy
Yes.
is have the humans make Zectors for your worm humans that they don't know are worms, and use the humans as your basic foot soldiers. Thus ensuring your worms get a power boost, and the humans are killing themselves.
Yep.
No, that seems way too simple and overcomplicated at the same time for them. I have nothing to say to this.
I mean, I'm not defending it. I like the idea of the worms as an essential horror of anybody could be one.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't think we'd be doing the show justice if we didn't at least try to point this shit out.
Oh no 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 no! Point that shit out of that flaw.
And it's just like, and like I said, I know the Orphan Acts were really disorganized to some extent, especially with their king, Jesus Christ.
Let's not start that rant again.
But this just feels like the entire species was just out of whack.
Yeah, kinda.
Like, it's not pulling lore out of nowhere. It's just like, this is just how we are. You've always been stupid and lazy? Yes. Yeah, good for humanity. We're only just one step
Yeah,
above you guys, apparently.
yeah. But let's get on. This is Hiyori's worm form.
I actually kind of like how majestic this thing looks.
It has a very sad face, which fits her very depressive character.
I also kind of like the wing on her back, I guess those are.
I guess so, yeah.
But it just shows that it's not all armor and spikes and stupid looking. This does actually look pretty decent.
Yes, which is, I guess the implications is it looks less dangerous than the combative ones, and because she is technically a native worm, I guess that's what happens when they evolve is they become less aggressive looking too. Which is weird because they have the giant horn.
Maybe it's just there to look threatening. It doesn't really do anything.
Maybe it's where they keep all their convoluted ideas.
I'm not even going to respond to that. But like I said, it's just a nice, like you know what it is, but it still looks like a different species altogether. I approve of this.
I also like how it's not like bug boobed.
That too, but you
Yeah.
see, there's definitely more of a feminine figure. I want to say.
I would
Like,
say more pixie like because she was constantly drawing pixies and fairies.
fair. I'm just saying you can definitely tell there's hips there.
Yeah. Although it's probably a guy in that suit.
Yeah.
And here we have the last major character, even though he's been around for most of the entire show. This is Masatoya Mishame. Or Mishima. He is originally Riku Kagame's right hand, but he sides with the native worms very quickly, and he gets experimented on and becomes basically the enforcer for the native clan. He also, at one point, jumped up in the air, grabbed the Zabi Zector, and forced it to hinge in on him.
Wow, what a dick.
He's basically showing off how much of a fucking badass he was because he's basically, I'm sick and tired of all this bullshit. Grab, henshin, save the day, or evil. He always basically hung around Riku, basically being like, remember the plan. Are you sure this is good for the plan? I don't trust that Tendo. And then the native worms reward his loyalty to them with being a strong
Yeah,
enough
I can't
opponent.
tell with this guy if he's actually intelligent or if he's dumb because he has his plan with the worms.
He's very much self-focused.
That I can
That's all.
understand, but like I
Yeah.
said, I
He
know I'm
also
harping on this,
downright
but
seems to hate humanity in general.
meh. Which is kind
So
of
I
funny
guess
because the worms are just kind of becoming humanity, so that's kind of really productive.
yeah. His transformation's kind of out of the blue, and it's the final fight. He's a decent enough final end boss, in my opinion.
Well, see, he looks more streamlined than the other ones that we've seen so far, so I kind of appreciate that.
I also like how he looks very grasshoppery to me, which fits for a final boss for a Kamen Rider series.
Yeah, as long as
He's
they
the
don't
old.
overuse
He's
that,
the
I'd be fine with it.
he's the only worm that kind of creeps me out design wise. Like it does edge too close to me.
That I do appreciate, at least to some extent.
Yes,
Not to
I
creep
want
you out, but I'm just saying, like,
you want the final boss to look, or the final villain to look intimidating in a sense.
yeah, I don't want the fairy to be my final boss.
No, this works. Like I may have liked the guy with this the blue, the purple one with the sword and shield, but this works for a end fight.
See, this boss feels more speed and offensive based. It doesn't look like this thing has a defensive tactic on him.
Which, considering that's what Kabuto's entire shtick is, losing defense for more speed and attack,
Feels appropriate.
it works as a counter. Like if you can't beat them with raw power, try and keep up with speed.
Yeah.
And the day is partly saved thanks to Kabuto and Katak, but it's also saved by Dark Kabuto getting back his humanity and sacrificing himself to save everyone from being turned into native worms. Essentially, a giant device was going to corrupt the entire world, and he threw himself at it to stop it, dragging along the head native worm with him. Basically, like, oh no, you're coming with me, and we're ending this bullshit right now. While Kabuto and Katak had to keep this guy away from the.
So Tendo did end the show.
Tendo did. Tendo both sacrificed himself and did not sacrifice himself. Praise be to Tendo. In the name of the Tendo, and the Tendo. Because at one point there are 3 Tendos running around the show: a Hyper Kabuto from the future, Dark Kabuto, and a regular Tendo.
No, when you use baby Tendo, we got the whole set.
I was going for more of a Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, but all right, you can ruin my blasphemy.
What? 3 Tendos and a baby sounds like an awesome show.
No, it does not. 3 Tendos just isn't a good show. Adding a baby tends to make me lose my focus. But yeah, we do have the movie to cover, Godspeed Love, which, when I watched this with a friend of mine, we got very upset by one factor. The 3 riders introduced in this show are a gold-themed beetle, a silver-themed beetle, and a bronze-themed beetle. Godspeed Love? Shouldn't it be like Godspeed, what's a word that starts with B? Boobs? God the Speed to Boobs. That's what we called that movie. The rest of we watched it. There are not many women in this movie, but we call it God the Speed to Boobs.
Well, they're in the search of boobs.
It's stuck in my head forever. But the movie takes place in a parallel time, where the meteorite that hit Earth was bigger, causing a eternal drought and dry weather on Earth. The Tendo line in the movie is, they who control the water will control the world.
There you go. But yeah, so apparently water became a nigh impossible resource now.
Yep. Zect is now not really fighting that many worms, but each other. There is now Zect and Neo-Zect.
Christ.
And the 3 introduced riders are Heracles, Ketros, and Kokakas. This is Heracles, the silver beetle.
See, I don't dislike the form for this.
They all have a similar design. Like I said, gold, silver, bronze.
And I don't dislike that idea.
They also have unique Zectors, even though the uniqueness of it is you just swap the horn on the actual toy.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the silver color they used for this one.
Yep.
I'm a fan of like silver and white gold in general, so.
Yep.
And having the Zector on the wrist is a nice little change.
Mm-hmm. It's on a different wrist than the Zabi had.
The helmet's a little simpler in design, which I appreciate.
Yep.
And the shoulders don't look like they'd be in the way, and you could tackle somebody with this.
You're definitely running someone through that one.
Yep. So overall, I think it's kind of an efficient design. It feels like something that didn't get all the attention, but something they could mass produce.
Mm-hmm.
At least if they had the materials. But it's not like the Shock Troopers that we had earlier.
Yeah. This is basically the good movie writer. He shows up with, it's Neo-Zek to stop the old Zek from hoarding water. And he's not even very much important to the movie.
No.
The next one is Keteros, the Zekt enforcer. In this universe, old Zekt wears fancy suits with capes with rope around them.
That seems really dangerous.
Yeah, especially when you're fighting in the desert.
I mean, one good grab and...
Yeah.
So good to know that humanity is still as brainless as ever.
Yeah. He's basically just a brute.
I mean, once again, points for at least trying to differentiate with the helmet and stuff.
But I do not like this helmet.
No, but like I said, I just give points for trying to differentiate, but...
I mean, I do like the eyes being green, but the actual weird horn thing is just not for me.
Yeah, the piece in the center looks like it getting away your vision too much. But
Yeah.
again, that's just me and how I view the suits, and that's weird to me. The
Mhm.
chest and shoulder pieces aren't too different than the silver guy, so
It's probably even identical. I can't even tell there's a difference.
yeah. And once again, on the wrist, so I mean, there's only so many places you can put these things, so I'm not like.
Yeah, honestly, if you put on the leg, that'd be kind of stupid.
I mean, the only person who really got away with putting stuff in her legs was Fives. That's only because he put it there to do his finisher kick with how that
Yeah,
worked.
yeah,
But he didn't have it there constantly.
yeah.
So
That's what I'm. Yeah, yeah. But
I mean, it's just not really that
mm-mm.
hugely different or impressive.
And we have the big bad of the movie.
Or we will in just a moment.
Hmm.
Uh, this is Issei Kurosaki,
Good morning, Ichigo.
the one person Ichigo should be kicking
Yes.
constantly.
Yeah, I just had to make a Bleach reference because Kurosaki's not seen too well. Anyway, he is the top soldier of Zect, possessor of the mysterious Hyperzector.
And carrier of the Blue Rose.
Yeah, in a world running out of water, he is obsessed with blue roses, which great, thanks.
Yeah, it's not even fake, apparently.
Yeah, no, it's
Like, I could understand if he was using a fake rose as a reminder of what they lost.
mm. It's also everyone else is wearing black. He's walking around in stark white.
And just look at that face. That is the face of a man you do not trust.
Yeah, he's
That is a
obsessed with
scheming face.
he's obsessed with the beauty of the rose and how humanity has fallen from that. So he does not care about hoarding water. Kinda, I don't know. This movie was I did not care for this movie at all. There are some amazing fights, and it has one of my favorite henshins ever. But the actual meat and potatoes of this movie kind of went in one ear and out the other.
You know what? This is kind of actually the opposite of Fives, apparently.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Fives had a great movie. Plot not so great.
But this movie is saved completely by the ending. But we'll get to that in a second. We're going to show Kokasan now, his rider form, which, even in rider form, he's obsessed with that goddamn blue rose.
I do like the headpiece. It's kind of
Yeah,
different,
I,
and
I like
nothing's really in the way.
the gold and the gold around the face and the yellow eyes. Also, he has a mustache.
Mustache.
And he has the hyperzector. He doesn't have a hyper form, but he does have the hyper clock up. I guess it's implied that his Zector isn't finished, so he can't fully incorporate it. He's not able to rewind time, but he's able to outmatch anyone's regular clock up. You know, I can continue.
So yeah, and plus the blue rose really does kind of contrast the armor, so him holding it just kind of adds a bit of flair to it.
I mean, as selfish as it is to hold that rose, it is really pretty for his character design.
And you know what? It did. It might just be the image, but the Fowler ballooned when he was in his armor. Like it really just opened up.
Mm. Regardless, the plot of the movie for Tendo is to beat him up and take his Zector, the hyper Zector.
I
So
thought
that
Ted just wanted to beat him much because it was him.
maybe that too. So that he can rewind time and shrink the meteorite, or at least damage the meteorite so it doesn't cause the drought. Yeah, this is how Tendo got his. Okay, this is how this movie takes place before the TV show, but is also set at a later date in the TV show. But yeah,
Yeah. Now I'm
Tendo.
just starting to taste copper from this.
Yeah, Tendo takes a meteorite, smashes it into the meteorite that was going to destroy humanity in a sense, saving himself and Hiyori and all that. And he gives himself his current rider belt before fading away from time so that young him can be Kamen Rider Kabuto for the TV show. Like I said, I
Thus
don't like
starting
this.
all this headache in the first place.
Like I said, I don't like this movie. I like the ending, even though it can cause people to go cross-eyed.
I went cross-eyed at the start of this show. Jesus Christ, what the movie did to me.
Yeah. Regardless, this is a really damn good cover. It's probably in my top 5 or top 6. It's somewhere
It's in
around.
my top 10. I'll give it that.
It's around 6, 5, or 4, depending on my
Yeah.
mood.
I'll guarantee in the top 10. Where exactly is kind of a shifting point. depending on what other
Yeah.
shows come out. But I don't think it's ever coming out of the top 10 unless something really good comes out in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Its quality is good. The acting is fantastic. Kendo's actor sells every goddamn minute he's in.
Yeah, and so do the other actors. Like they sell their characters, so good acting all around, and
Yeah,
good.
there's no one who really feels that flat in it,
Like we may not
except
like the character they're playing, but the
yeah,
actors give it their all for this.
yeah.
In fact,
Like I said,
usually all the actors for Kamen Rider give it their all, so I give props
yeah,
to all of them.
yeah, and it's pretty episodic. You don't really need to watch the entire thing to get it, but there's a
There
good
are a
popping.
few episodes you do need to see to kind of follow along with certain plot points, like
But there are a lot of good jumping on points, in my
yeah.
opinion.
I mean, you do need to see at least a couple of episodes to get the point of the Scorpion guy.
Yeah.
Um,
We also left out a lot of characters that do have major impact on the story, but they were kind of hard to talk about.
yeah. Plus, it's not like they're major to overall plot; they're just important to other characters. So it's kind of
Yeah,
hard to. I mean, that's true for a lot of characters in a Kamen Rider show
yeah,
because the base builds the show with a lot of it.
yeah. At least this show was able to make the female character important to the plot. There are so many female main characters in Kamen that honestly, if you remove them, I don't think you'd lose anything.
And plus, they managed to keep the suits universal, but still make them different.
Yeah,
And like I
like
said,
you can put most of the Kabuto suits next to each other and go, same show.
and plus, it doesn't conflate the suits. Like, not to say that it's bad, but like say O's or double, where there's like so many suit variants, it's like a pain in the ass to keep track of them all. So I do appreciate that. There's a simple suit design, but there's some variation.
Yeah,
And if anybody knows me and Fies, I like that idea.
yep.
So I would definitely give this. I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10.
Likewise.
Like I said, my only major gripe with this show is the worms.
Yeah, and I
Like
can't argue that.
I
Like,
understand how they're a threat,
yeah,
but they seem so simplified and overcomplicated at the same time. I don't know where to begin with this mess.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, like I said, the simplest thing was like, okay, so we got this worm enemy that replaces people with their memories and emotions and everything.
reveal.
And what's their goal?
Legit.
I don't know. They just replace people.
And
Why? They just replace people. Why? They just replace people. Do you see the issue here?
yeah, yeah,
Like I know, I've said it before. Like comparing it to Five with the Orphanox. The Orphanox at least wanted to try and control humanity because they felt they were superior.
mm,
They had a completely idiotic view on their king, who was going to eat them to try and become complete.
yep,
But at least they were just trying to take over because they felt superior, and humans were trying to treat them like they were a menace, which some of them were. But it's just like
yeah,
there's at least an understanding conflict of where both sides are coming from.
yeah.
Here, the worms just kind of feel like really out of place.
They do feel like I have always just took them as a invasive species that.
And I could understand that if they operated on more primal throughout the entire thing.
Yeah,
But
it's the flip
once they
flopping of.
get once they get the intelligence and emotions of humans, that should change a little bit. Like there should be a more operational force here.
Mhm.
But it feels like none of the worms are really communicating with each other except for the natives a lot of times.
Yeah, I find Kamen Rider and Super Sentai slash Power Rangers have this problem a lot where it's the heroes so right, and then they drop the ball to villains. Like one of the best examples I can think of this is Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. I think the Lightspeed Rescue Rangers are some of the best we've ever had, but the demons were so meh.
Yeah. I mean, the worms were a great idea. Don't get me wrong about how they operate. And Kendo was
Like
a great one to put into there.
I mean, there are legit some good moments that are almost out of horror movies with how they handle the worms stealing
Especially
people's
with the
identities.
Scorpion guy. Like, that was great written, and that was understandable.
Yeah,
It's the rest of the Worm Society. I don't understand what the shit.
yeah, yeah.
Especially when you go between the natives who apparently have
a hierarchy and intelligence and forethought and
Maybe not that great forethought, but at least they had something of
technology
a.
to fight other worms.
And then you got the other worms, which are just like the invading force, that have no hierarchy, no plan, just show up, replace, and go about your day.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. Like I
but yeah,
said, I love the
that's
show,
really the
but
only thing that really just stops it from being a full 10.
yeah.
I mean, Tendo's great to watch as he just kind of
I
be
mean, I think
God's gift to the planet Earth.
Yep. Yep.
And like I said, just watching him just like walk about knowing his place on the planet is just amazing.
Knowing his place is better than yours, but not really being that too much about it.
No, but you just get it's. I will give full credit for the actor being able to pull that off just from him walking down the street on camera, just showing that he is on a whole nother level than everybody else in that show.
Yep.
Because they got the right, as usual, they got the right actor to pull that off.
Mm. Mm.
Because I will say
Mm.
this one, him and Geets are the two Kamen Riders that started off already on their high horse that
Yep.
they were already on.
Yep. And their actors are perfect.
Uh-huh.
It's a shame he's never come back for some Kamen Rider stuff, but he's gone off and done his own thing. That's fine. Kagame's actor, Gatak, is a huge Kamen Rider fan and almost always looks for any time to just come back for a cameo. He's played himself a few times being evil, I think, too. And
Now
he
just
just
picture
has
him
fun.
just trying to sneak off stage in the Kamen Rider suit to go home with it. So you have to return out. Aww.
He never wore it, but you definitely know he tried to put it on.
No, I'm just saying he pulled a Thor tried to take the suit home with him, where Thor took the hammer with him.
Yep. Yep.
Oh God, that's hilarious.
Yeah. But we should probably discuss what we'll try to record next.
So, God, this is what we really would have been waiting for.
Yeah.
See, there's been a lot of controversy for this one.
Yeah. Some
Now,
of it makes sense, but I'm looking forward to talking about this episode coming up.
yeah, I'm just looking forward to having two guests and just to really go over this one because this is one
Mhm.
that I think is really worth the talk for this show.
Yeah, this one gives me warm feelings inside.
This one just kind of brings out the beast within for me.
Yeah.
So, I'm Soul. That's M. We hope you have a good day.
Bye. Take care. Make sure you're not a worm.
Make sure your neighbors aren't worms either.
Hey, good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck telling the difference.